Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant, and I'm back with some more vibes for all you. Thank you all for checking this out with me and all these historical videos with me, and there's some cultural stuff that I put up, But thank you all for doing that with me. Thanks for all the comments. Keep it coming. Keep suggesting the vibe. You know what I mean? I like watching it. So I'll keep checking them out and all of that. And man, I have fun doing this, and I hope you guys have fun watching me too. Just tell me what else you want to see, you know what I mean? Anyway, we're going to continue watching the series on Hannibal. This one is called Battle of Cornus, 216 BC. This is Hannibal Part 16 and the Second Punic War. So we're going to check this vibe out and see where we're going. The last time we watched the three episodes of Battle of Cannae, and for the first time, the Romans sort of outsmarted Hannibal there in one of the battles. So let's see what's going on here with the rest of this. Let's YouTube and simmer.
By the autumn period of 216 BC, Hannibal was consolidating his power base in southern Italy. His main army at Capua stood at around 40,000 men, including additions from his Samnite allies. His brother Mago, now on his way south with 1,200 Numidians, would recruit an additional 17,000 Lucanians and Brutians and bring his own force up to over 18,000 troops.
You know what's amazing about Hannibal? How he's able to recruit all these people on the way, you know what I mean? But you see, that's the thing I've always said, if you conquer somebody and someone else come along and they sell them a prey, let's put it that way, they won't follow them. At first it's going to be, wavering depending on how long you have power over those people. You know what I mean? Because you could have a few generations enough to brainwash enough not to retaliate against you. But I mean, if you take their land and you sort of annex them, the next person to come along and promise them stuff and freedom from you and more freedom under me, they gonna take it. And I think that's what's happening here with the various tribes and stuff. The Romans want to pretty much take their land, so now they revenge. It's got to be that's what's on their mind. But let's keep watching this.
Recruit an additional 17,000 Lucanians and Brutians and bring his own force up to over 18,000 troops. Opposing them, Rome scrambled to raise new legions over the coming months. An impressive 80,000 troops would be put to field in Italy, with the majority concentrated in the south. But despite the Roman numerical strength exceeding that of their enemy, many of these were inexperienced recruits who felt abject terror at the thought of meeting Hannibal in battle.
His reputation precedes him.
In some of the settlements of central Italy, the number of Roman and allied fighting men began to dwindle, which was a testament to the blood toll exacted on them by Hannibal's tactical superiority and his wealth of ideas on the battlefield. Fabius Maximus, the father of the Fabian strategy, would again be elected consul for the next 2 years. He would revert to avoiding conflict with the Carthaginian general to preserve the troops and give Rome's manpower time to recover. But while the war was thus far mostly dominated by the campaign of Hannibal in Italy, as the year 215 rolled around, the Second Punic War would spread across the Mediterranean.
I'm just going to spread my man too thin.
Look, you may enjoy how Hannibal dominates the Romans on the battlefield, but you won't enjoy your lost time, money, data, and comfort. Today's sponsor offers a perfect solution to help you keep your data and passwords secure, your money in your wallet, and your comfort maintained. It's super easy to use. One click connects you to over 5,100 additional months with a huge discount. And don't forget to use the coupon code HISTORYMARSH. Protect yourself online with NordVPN.
Unavoidable around this time.
While Hannibal worked to add to his list of allies, his other objective was reinforcements. His brother Margo advanced south and besieged Petelia. Together with Consentia, these two cities were among the most prominent in Brutium, boasting a developed infrastructure, imposing walls, and a bustling.
See how strategically he's doing his
his
war?
Dominion over Italy, Rome favored the
Pure
urban
strategy.
centers of Brutium and had long been replacing their local ruling elite with the pro-Roman aristocracy. In turn, the pro-Roman...
See, when I was a kid and I saw movies about these old battles and stuff, they never really go into detail about the strategy and stuff, because I guess that wouldn't sell. So it's usually like a bunch of people running into war, kind of like, just sacrificing themselves, so there wasn't any real stories with it because what sells is the action. So, I never really thought that all the strategy went into it because I don't think about war a whole lot, you know what I mean? So I know sometimes it's coordinated, but man, they study that stuff up and thing. That's just crazy. And I know it now that they do because of what I've been through, but still, it's just like crazy how we study this up, the art of war and stuff, something I'm going to watch here soon. But anyway, let's get back to this video here.
Factions of Petelia and Consentia treated the less urbanized communities in the region with disdain, which created a rift among Brutians. Needless to say, these internal divisions suited Rome as they made the region easier to control. But Margo now used this hostile factionalism to his advantage. He circulated news that Petelia was besieged, prompting thousands of Brutians who were angry at the city for siding with Rome to join Hannibal. With his work in Brutium complete, Margo left Hanna the Elder in charge of the army and embarked for Carthage to seek support for the campaign in Italy. By this stage, neither side was the undisputed master of the sea. While Rome had overall superiority, the Carthaginian navy had significantly recovered from the setback earlier in the war. Both could patrol far into enemy waters and raid coastal towns, but lacked the strength to rule the waves of the western Mediterranean. But with most of Brutium now under Hannibal's control, there was less risk for transporting troops from Africa to Italy. And with this, Margo disembarked in Carthage. Murmurs reverberated in the packed Senate hall. In attendance, all of Carthage's notables anxiously waited. Then Margo rose to speak, presenting before the Senate the progress of the campaign in Italy. Colleagues, countrymen, since crossing the Alps, Hannibal had won several victories, including 3 great pitched battles against Rome's main armies, 2 of which were completely destroyed and their camps looted. And now the Romans avoid fighting us altogether out of fear. 200,000 Roman fighting men are slain and 50,000 prisoners are taken. Italy is in a state of revolt, and the south had gone over to Hannibal. With a single army, Hannibal had achieved all of this against several Roman armies. Margo then turned away from the map to present to the Senate a bag filled with hundreds of golden rings belonging to the Roman aristocracy that fell at Cannae. He asked for funds and additional armies to be sent to Italy, with another 20 to 30,000
Sweeten the pot up and say, hey,
disposal.
here's the gold, send more men.
Would break Rome. Margo's presentation suggested that with the 18,000 strong army that he himself had recruited, consistent pressure could be applied in Brutium until the last of the cities loyal to Rome either came to Hannibal's side or were taken by force. Another army of 20,000 from Carthage could take and hold Apulia and its vital ports, thereby cutting Rome's ability to contest the waters of the Ionian Sea. This would open lines of communication between Hannibal and a likely ally, Philip V of Macedon, enabling uninterrupted transport of ships, provisions, and troops. Finally, stationed in Campania with his main host, Hannibal would have complete control over southern Italy. With 3 armies in close proximity, capable of quickly combining their forces, as well as controlling their respective areas individually, Carthaginian authority over local communities and cities would be absolute. As such, Hannibal could fully exploit southern Italy's manpower and resources to beat the Romans at their own game, the war of attrition, and could use his tactical brilliance to dominate the Romans on the battlefield.
Wow.
Hearing Margot's report, most of the Senate rejoiced. But, as fortunes of war would have it, Hannibal's worst enemies were not in Rome, but in Carthage.
Isn't that always the
When
case,
Hanno
though?
II stood up to speak, a heavy silence fell upon the room. He was an immensely powerful aristocrat and a veteran commander, albeit not a very competent one. Most of his wealth and political power was derived from his stake in the silver mines of Iberia and the heavy taxation he imposed on African tribes that lived on the vast.
See, that's what I was talking about
expanses of land he
earlier.
owned.
You treat people like that, they're
The
gonna
Senate
turn against you.
represented the interests of the wealthy, for whom it was profitable to sue for peace with Rome, even with unfavorable terms for Carthage, because a peace agreement would enable Hanno and his supporters to assume their maritime commercial operations. In addition, their interests in rare metals is the reason why Hanno favored redirecting reinforcements to protect Iberia, and why he preferred territorial expansion not into Italy, but into Africa, where he and his powerful friends stood to profit from expanding their already endless tracts of taxable
Money,
land.
man.
These discrepancies between the interests of the super-wealthy and the war effort of Carthage was what made Hanno the leading opponent of the Barca family and their war of conquest in Italy. He addressed Margot. You say the armies of the enemy are slain, yet you ask for more soldiers. You say the enemy camps are looted, yet you ask for corn and funds. I wonder, if you ask for all of this help, is Hannibal truthful about his victories? If he is, then I say he doesn't need help from us, and if he is not, then he doesn't deserve it. At hearing this, senators from the docks behind Hanno cheered him on. He continued, you say, Margot, that Roman
Politics,
power was
man.
annihilated, and that Italy
Driven
was
by
in a state
money.
of revolt. I ask you then, has a single Roman or any of the 35 tribes come to our side? No, they have not, Margot replied. Hanno went on. Then there are still too many Romans left. Do you know then, Margot, is the enemy's will to fight broken? Have they approached Hannibal for peace? I do not know, Margot answered. A truthful answer, given that he parted ways with Hannibal soon after the Battle of Cannae, and was unaware if any negotiations with Rome were taking place. Well then, Hanno concluded, with many Romans still in the fight, and no treating of peace, you have made no progress since the start of the war.
My man is
I say,
it's just like
if
playing with
Hannibal's
words
victories
there.
are true, he should seek terms with Rome, and not ask for help from Carthage. For if he cannot obtain peace after his supposed victories, what terms will he be able to obtain if his fortunes against the Romans change? It seems to me that we are not...
Isn't it funny how these rich folks all start talking about peace whenever it's going to affect what happens to what's going on with their pocketbooks? You know what I'm hearing? It's like, if we can't have peace, blah, blah, blah. He don't care about peace. He care about profit. He's got another P word in his, you know what I mean? Hey, if this guy keep fighting this war here, and he keeps taking these poor people to go fight this war, then these poor people ain't gonna be able to work their tails off for slave wages for me here, so we gotta find some peace. Which means peace of mind for him, because he's gonna have all the money to buy everything he wants to buy, right? Crazy, huh? And the thing about it is it's the same thing these days. I mean, ain't nothing changed. We think we're so much more intelligent. Well, technologically we might be better, but when it comes to dealing with each other, we ain't learning a damn thing. That's for sure.
For if he cannot obtain peace after his supposed victories, what terms will he be able to obtain if his fortunes against the Romans change? It seems to me that we are not discussing peace, but only talking about helping the agenda of one man, Hannibal. Hanno clearly showed in this senatorial meeting why he was one of the most capable orators of his time. But as clever as he was in discrediting Hannibal, the supporters of the Barcids were outraged.
Keep your decay motion on his
Hanno
piece.
insisted that Carthage must negotiate with Rome, that peace was necessary, thereby implying that Carthage should not
You have somebody
cannot
sleeping down
risk
in the bottom
the
there.
consequences of losing the war, but must make peace now while the going is good. If this fear of defeat ever reached the enemy, for the Romans it would be like smelling blood. Despite their setbacks against Hannibal, with such division among Carthage's top officials, the Romans would know that they had already won the war. So it's needless to say that Hanno's dissemination of this dangerous rhetoric directly undermined Carthage's war effort and perhaps its future as an imperial power. As Hannibal once said to his men, war is won by those who are ready to conquer or die, and Rome had already shown its readiness to conquer or perish. Carthage, having chosen to walk the path of empire for 600 years, had to show that same resolve if it was to be victorious and retain its imperial status.
See, it's always been
Hannibal's
superpowers,
supporters
huh?
further argued that as the only man who
They
showed
rule the
consistent
roost.
success in command, deep in enemy territory no less, he must be supported, even if Iberia was lost. In their view, to conquer a peace agreement at the gates of Rome meant that the withdrawal of Roman troops from Iberia could be demanded as a condition during negotiations, and Carthaginian dominance over the western Mediterranean could be restored. Amidst this ongoing political turmoil in Carthage, the majority of the Senate was nevertheless impressed enough with Mago's report to vote in favor of sending him back to Italy with an army and funds to aid Hannibal. A host of 12,000 African infantry, up to 6,000 Numidian cavalry, and around 40 elephants were to be assembled. But Hanno's political tentacles reached across the empire, and he would severely slow down the recruitment of Hannibal's reinforcements at every turn, prolonging the process for around 6 months. Then, as the latter days of autumn brought with them the scent of the stinging coldness that was just around the corner, a message arrived from Sardinia. It was from Hampsicora of Cornus, a Sardo-Punic political leader and one of the richest landowners of Sardinia.
See, it's always the richest this and the richest that's leading the place.
Especially along the western and southern coasts, which were part of the Carthaginian Empire for over 250 years, until Sardinia came under Roman control just 20 years ago, in 237 BC. This resulted in a strained relationship between the Romans and Sardinia's ruling class and its population. Occasional clashes flared up, but the legions were largely able to keep the peace and exploit the island's rich resources of grain, salt, wine, and olives.
The peace, they kept the peace while they exploit the land.
Of gold and silver, a valuable source for minting new currency, and lead, which was used in various fields of civil life, from crockery to water pipes. But most importantly, Sardinia was a vital point for controlling access to Roman waters and could serve to intercept Carthaginian shipping to the south. However, the situation was now ripe for revolt. The ambassadors that carried the message pleaded for help, and the Carthaginian Senate made a decision to mobilize another army of 12,000 infantry and 1,500 horse to be sent to Sardinia under the command of Hasdrubal the Bold. Meanwhile,
Hasdrubal the Bold.
Hampsicora was joined by Hanno of Tharos. Their combined force motivated more cities to rise up, and some of the inland tribes pledged their support as well. Rebellion in Sardinia had begun. News of the unrest had reached Praetor Quintus Murcius Scaevola, a member of the ancient and noble patrician family. He immediately sent word back to Rome, asking for help. The Roman legion under his command was under strength due to sickness that he too suffered from and was unable to perform his duties. Provisions and payments for the troops were irregular amidst the chaos of the war, which only made the situation worse. Upon receiving his message, the Roman Senate hurriedly sent Titus Manlius Torquatus with a small contingent and provisions to patch up the legion in Sardinia. Titus was a distinguished Roman politician, twice a consul in 235 and 224 BC, and a member of the Manlia.
You know, when you try to conquer the world, that spreads you real thin, doesn't it?
Of the Republic. Once he disembarked at Cagliari, Titus temporarily assumed command, bringing news that more reinforcements would come next spring. But upon learning of the activities of the rebels, he realized that he would not be able to hold out through the winter. The legion was still under strength and in poor health. Worse, once the Sardo-Punic army fully mobilized, they would outnumber the Romans at least 2 to 1, and this ratio would rise to 4 to 1 as the Carthaginians managed to reach the island before winter. Something needed to be done now, so Titus took provisions to last a few days and gathered no more than 6,000 men that were fit to march towards Cornus. Meanwhile, Amsicora journeyed into the Sardinian interior to recruit troops from the tribes that declared their support for the uprising. He left his son Hiostus in charge of the 10,000-strong army and the collection of provisions until he returned. But Titus was closing in fast.
Oh boy. Coincidental
the numerical
advantage.
of the Sardo-Punic army was clear. Tucked in between the sea to the west and the hills to the east, they held a strong position with the walls of Cornus behind them. But Titus observed that the enemy was not in full battle order and that no archers were manning the walls. It appeared as if they were not expecting a battle. He ordered the Roman line forward. All too aware of the poor physical condition of his men, Titus slowed the advance to a crawl, making it easier for his tired troops to maintain their formation. He had hoped that by closing the distance he would unnerve the enemy and force them into committing themselves forward. If the Sardo-Punic troops broke formation to charge, this would give the compact Roman legion a chance. But Hiostus's orders were not to attack. Titus gradually halted his advance a mere stone's throw away from the opponent, but they wouldn't move. Understanding that it would be impossible to dislodge a more numerous and better rested army from their defensive position, the Roman general resorted to harsh language. He berated Hiostus, questioning his bravery and his manhood. Some of the centurions joined in with their own insults. Laughter of the Roman troops could be heard inside the city. The young Sardo-Punic aristocrat was fuming. After a few minutes of this verbal barrage, he could take no more. With their pride bruised, Hiostus's men attacked with zest. The weary Roman line bore the initial brunt of the charge with some difficulty, but they held their nerve, encouraged by experienced centurions to stay compact behind their shields until the enemy ran out of steam.
Damn, whoa, don't tell me Hannibal's people gonna get outsmarted again.
Sardo-Punic troops quickly began to crumble against the advance of the veteran legionaries. Step by step, the Roman line trod forward, jabbing at the enemy from behind the wall of shields. It soon became clear that Hiostus's rash attack for the sake of saving face in front of his men was a bad decision. By attacking the Roman line, he abandoned his strong defensive position and trapped his own army between the enemy, the hills and the sea, and the walls of the city. Unable to escape, 5,700 Sardo-Punic troops, some 60% of his army, were cut down, but the exhausted Romans could fight no more and had begun taking losses as well. Seeing that his men are at their limit, Titus pulled back. The Roman victory at Cornus did not succeed in destroying one Sardo-Punic army before another one could be assembled. but it gave Titus some time to prepare for the next encounter. Many of his men died on the way back due to exhaustion and sickness, but Titus's swift action killed off some of the best troops that the rebel cities could levy, and had put a dent in the morale of the Sardo-Punic army. Whatever troops Hampsicora recruited from the other cities and tribes further inland, he would now likely be more inclined to wait for the Carthaginian army to come to his aid than to take on the Romans himself. For now, the Roman army in Sardinia held on. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our videos, click like.
So I guess this battle here, the Battle of Cornus, was kind of a draw because they tried to fight and they pulled back, and now everything is just back stalemate time. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to the next one to see how that's going to turn out. I think there's just one more. But anyway, man, thank you all for listening, watching this with me. The link in the description below. You all go check out this channel and see what they have for you. And I'm telling you, they got some interesting stuff in there, all right? And in the meantime, you all take care of each other. Cool runnings.